Oh, fantastic. See,
Good to
see,
go.
that's the part that scares me. All right,
We're
so
off, rough and running.
we're back and running again. That's fantastic. All right, so what we're going to talk today about insights into lighting design and installation, and we're going to touch more on the design of fixtures and where to put them, and then kind of what we do once you actually walk onto a site and you have that happy homeowner go and say to you like, hey, I actually want lights. So what happens from there? How do I progress? So let's get into it, and obviously questions along the way. All right, so you come onto a property. The first thing that I like to do is actually take a site inventory. So as it comes down here, well, I'm going to read them off, but you know, it all makes sense for everybody. So you identify existing opportunities and constraints, and those can be large trees, path of travel, overhead structures, safety and security, feasibility of wire runs. You got to determine a budget. The budgets probably will determine a lot of what goes forward. And then future opportunities. What happens is once they have got the property in place, and as trees grow, you've got to sit there and you've got to be thinking about all of these things as soon as I get onto the property. And so these are kind of my little checklists for myself to go and make sure that I've got, are there large trees on the property? How am I going to transition through the space? Am I going from my kitchen to an outdoor eating area? Do I have overheads where maybe I want to eat? The safety and security is always paramount. If you're walking through a space at night, you're very comfortable with it because you might be intimately comfortable with the space, but a visitor may come in and then just go, uh-oh, I'm tripping on stairs or irregular stonework or whatever that thing is. Wire runs. If I've got a very large patio and I want to get from point A to point B, sometimes a planter or a barbecue area just physically cannot get a wire run to there without digging up the concrete or the stonework or having to be pretty creative on how I get there. And then lastly, again, the budget. All right, I have the power. Now, if you go and look at the that tree that I have there, that's actually a property that I saw. And a couple of years ago, this was kind of the standard. They'd have a transformer wrapped around all the way to the right, and they'd go through and they'd have power outlets and they'd have switches. And this is how they used to control their lighting system. As we're going to go through today, things have moved on from there. So when I saw this, I'm like, I got a smile on my face, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of an interesting way to do it. Actually, it's an interesting install, but this isn't how that you and I would do it on a property. So I thought I'd just take a picture of that. So number one, identifying 120 volt light sources. So none of us here, I don't think, are registered electricians. So we actually want to go and find outlets that we can use to plug in our transformers. Where might they be? They may be at the garage, could be at the pool equipment, outside architecture with overhead structures and so forth. Look for a Hunter irrigation controller. Our parent company happens to be Hunter Industries, and so hopefully there's a Hunter irrigation controller sitting on the wall, but it's a double gang outlet. Go and share the space so where you can hang your controller. If you do not have that, make friends with your electricians and have them put an outlet where you need it to be. But again, that is a cost consideration for your property. So you actually want to be thinking about, where am I going to identify that 120 volt? Consider your Wi-Fi. Now, this is all totally in your wheelhouse. This is totally easy. So but you do need to remember that if I'm going to place a transformer box somewhere in the property, be it the garage, the pool equipment, I do need to know what my signal strength for my Wi-Fi is, or I need to do my conductivity type. Can I get Cat5 or Cat6 cable to that space? Do remember with our Luxor systems, if I go and have Cat5 or Cat6, I've got 100% of signal strength. If I'm using Wi-Fi, I like to have a minimum of approximately, say, 70 RSSI for just to make it work. And otherwise, if it's less than that, things just get a little bit funky, and we end up with that circle of death going on. Okay, so you wander in, you've identified kind of what you want to light, the trees, the architecture, the pathways. Then I go through and I go start looking for electrical sources. Boom. And then once I get to those electrical sources, I really do want to make sure that I've got some decent Wi-Fi along the way. All right, so we know that we want to light that tree, that pathway, that overhead structure, all of that artwork, the fountains, all of that stuff. Now I've actually got to start digging in, and I need to start picking fixtures and lamps. And what I like to do is I like to start off with the lamp. And what the lamp will do is that will determine kind of the beam spread, how far the light will travel, and kind of the one after that is the fixture that will hold that lamp. Now, this is a chart that our marketing department came up with. Please don't go and get too into the weeds. Probably the most important part that you need to know is on the right-hand side, they're all what I would call drop-in lamps. So you take a drop-in MR16 LED, pop that into the fixture, good to go. If I have a T3 or a G4 lamp, you drop it in and away you go. On the left-hand side, that would be typically what I would find that you guys are using. And so the nice part was the stuff on the left. It is capable of zoning and dimming, and capable of color, all depending on what your budget or what your client or yourself are offering. Okay, and within those categories, we've got base plus premium. Depending on where you're doing your installation, it might be that, hey, I want to use a integrated fixture, but the budget's, it's a little bit tight, so I might come down to the base. Or I'm like, okay, conversely, I've got a property with unlimited resources. So maybe I come up to the premium and I come with all of the additions that come with it. So this is just kind of a nice, easy way to, excuse me, start that process. So probably the most common fixture that you will install, because it's kind of the easy button as well, are uplights. You go uplights on trees, uplights on houses, uplights on overhead structures, and they generally, as you can see with the picture to the right, they're a fixture that sits in the ground, and it just, as it says, it just goes and shines light up. Now, do remember that the light that comes out of the fixture comes out sort of kind of like an ice cream cone. Now, that ice cream cone of light can be with more intensity, so a higher wattage or a higher lumen output, so the light can actually just go further. So think about your small plant material versus huge trees. I can also go and have that light be a wider beam spread. So if I've got in Southern California tall, skinny palm trees versus beautiful oaks that have a very wide canopy, I actually want to adjust my beam spread to suit that. Okay, so that's all in my uplights category. Again, the ones to the right were our standard series. So if they just want an on-off system and they're employing you to go and put that in there, and there's not a lot of budget on the job, but they just want to go and have lamps that work, that are efficient. Here are just some examples of those lights. They can be in a copper and brass. They can be in an aluminum with different powder coat colors. We can also go and have on the bottom left, we can have what we are going to call our wash lights. And what those will do, if you're doing a swath of light in there, for example, a wall or a hedge or a mound of plant materials such as bush roses or bougainvillea or something like that, you will pick your fixture depending on what you want to light. So remember, it's the lamp that's doing the work, and it's the fixture that's holding those lamps in place. So that's the standard series. So just think about those as all as having just the drop-in LED MR16 lamps. And then obviously we have our designer series. And with our designer series, as I said earlier, those can come through and have the grouping and the dimming, the grouping, the dimming, and the color, depending on the needs of your client. Same deal with the standard series. We can have copper and brass. We can have aluminum. And then we can also go and have the aluminum brass boast the same kind of fixtures, but down on the bottom right, the wall washers. So you kind of, it's a mix and match. A little bit of is aesthetically what works. But what I will go and tell you is typically my installers and my designers, they will go through and they will not have the homeowner's input into these fixtures. They kind of get hidden in the landscape. They go in amongst your plant materials. And so we just go and keep it nice and simple there. If you look at the colors of the fixtures, we kind of tend to have muted colored fixtures. We could come up with things with stained glass butterflies. We could do dancing frogs. We could do lighthouses. But FX as a company has kind of got a mantra of, if you want to go through and see your lights during the day, we kind of want them to disappear into your landscape. So if you've done a beautiful install, the fixtures don't get seen. And then at night, when you turn the lights on, it's almost difficult to figure where the light is coming from, but the effect of the lights is just, it can be really spectacular. Okay, so that's kind of where I was going with these. So uplights, again, probably the most common fixture that we use. And I can go and tell you from a manufacturer's standpoint, this is what we sell most of. Pathway lights. All right, so completely opposite to the spotlights or to the uplights, path lights, you will go and find that the homeowners or your clients like to have input in because they do get seen. So we're going to think about those path lights, and my trick is I will go through and I won't go and show them a catalog. I won't go and say, here are 40 different pathway lights, you go and pick. I will actually go and say, based upon the style of the architecture, what I'm trying to achieve. Am I doing copper through the rest of the house? Are there gutters? Are there downspouts? Are there roofs all in copper? Then I might suggest copper. If there's there's a very interesting trend at the moment with houses that are typically white with black accents. The rafters, the doors, the windows are all in black. So maybe I'll go through, instead of doing a copper fixture, I'll go through and just use black powder coat to make that work as well. So you can go and pick, and I've kind of got an idea before I walk in there. And what I will do is I might show them just those bottom left-hand corners, the ones in copper, ask my homeowner which of the 3 styles that they like, and that way we'll proceed with that. If it's a house, it's a Cape Cod, or if it's in something at the beach, I might go to the bottom right. But then I go and wait, and I go and see kind of what their reaction to the fixtures are, and they'll either going to say, I love it, it's beautiful. They're like, I really don't care. Or they might have this visceral response that, hey, I had one of these when I was a child, I tripped, I broke my leg, and I just can't stand that fixture. So the pathway lights is probably what you'll spend the most time with your clients when trying to decide the style of the fixture. But these are all just different styles that are open, plus many, many more, including our new modern series of pathway lights, a lot of new architecture, very, very clean lines. And you can get them in different intensities, all the way through a 1, 3, 6, 9 LED. We can get them grouping and dimming, grouping, dimming, and or color, if that's the needs for your property. All right, wall lights. So wall lights, typically, if you've got a hardscape and you want to go and illuminate that space, and you might have, as in this picture, we've got some steps going on. We want to go and put some wall lights in there. Full disclosure that you probably want to get in there early, because trying to run that wire under the cap, you want to work with stonemasons and the people that are on the property early to go and put them in there, to run the wires, to put the fixture in before you finish the system. So you might walk in there and be doing the interior of the house. You'll see the concrete guys are busy forming their concrete. You go, hang on guys, please stop. I want you to set up, or at least have an intention of what you want to do fairly early on in the process, if that's possible. It makes your life a lot easier than having to come back at a later date and go and say, hey, I want to put these wall lights in. Can you please remove the cap, put these fixtures in, and put them back on again? And again, different fixtures, different styles, different styles of property, different amounts of throw. We can have them with that 10-watt equivalent, which might go out 10 or 12 feet, or we can throw out much further depending on what the needs are for the property. Most of these here will actually go and need to have a box mounted into the hardscape, or a sleeve mounted into the hardscape before you can attach the fixture. There are a few, such as the MS and sometimes the LF, that can be mounted after the hardscape has gone in. But you want to be thinking about your hardscape fixtures fairly early on in the project. Pathway lights are easy because you're putting them in the dirt. These ones will go in the wood structures, in the concrete. So you definitely want to be thinking about them fairly early on in the process. Wall lights, again, these are just, as you can see to the right, we've got a 4x4 post and it's attached to that. But remember, it does need a single gang junction box to be installed there, and then the fixture attached to it. These have come out in a recent time, and they're all fairly sleek and very quite, to me, they're actually pretty elegant. They do a nice, really, really nice job, and they've come in within the last 12 to 18 months, and they've been received very, very well by the industry. Downlights, kind of the same thing. If you can physically, once you get wire into the overhead structure, then you can simply attach fixtures to that structure. Sometimes you actually need to dig in and do some recessed cans, things like that. But overhead structures, if you see the carpenters that are up there digging around, you're like, hey, can I get a wire from the ground up into the overhead structure? Then you can come back at a later date and start figuring out, I need a light to go over the barbecue. I've got that fireplace on the right, and it's got really interesting stonework that I'd like to graze. I've got that kitchen counter that I want to be able to cook and chop and pour drinks and do whatever I want to do. So I'm busy doing my lighting design, but I want to get in there fairly early with my fixtures, or at least with my wires to the right places. No different to what you're doing on an interior space. And again, there's a couple of classic examples of our standard series with the drop-in light bulb, or lamps as we like to call them. And then we got some slightly more modern looking fixtures to go with those modern elements that are coming out at the moment. The designer series, again, these are all kind of that integrated lamp. Do know that with the lamps themselves, the integrated lamps have a 10-year lamp life warranty. They are all able to be replaced if they ever do burn out. With the integrated lamps, we could do the grouping and dimming, and the color. You'll also go and see on a lot of our fixtures, we actually have those cooling fins. And so because we have the cooling fins on the fixture, and the fixture is cooling down our light source, we offer a 10-year with the integrated lamps and a 5-year with the drop-in lamps. It's probably a pretty good distinction between the two. But you'll go and see with a lot of our fixtures in the designer series, we actually have those cooling fins, and it's trying to do is keep that LED light source as cool as possible. All right, hanging out with FX Luminaire. This is one of the ones that I saw, and I was like, hey, we can do hanging lights from trees, overhead structures. And then I figured I'd go and drop in that interesting little one, and I'm going to call it the umbrella. I'm going to call it the hanging light. Please don't do this at home. I've seen some really interesting lighting sources and ways of attaching. But remember, sometimes this is the standard. You will walk through and you will see that. You guys can go out and do a much more elegant, much better way of lighting. And so please do not be using coat hangers for your lighting. All right, so we've gone through pathway lights. We've gone through the uplights, which are most common. We've done some lights that are into the decking or the structures, those concrete structures that are there. We've gone through all of those. And then we also start talking about in-grade lights. Now, my distinction between in-grade lights and uplights in a planted area or in the landscape itself is if you've got that property that has got extremely clean lines. It might be very modern, but you go through and it might have pebbles, it might have DG, but you don't see a lot of plant material. It is just a very, very clean property. That's where I sit there and go through and say, I'm going to do an in-grade light versus an uplight. If it's in a planted area and there is plant materials and annuals and perennials and just flowers in there, I tend to use the uplights. If it's super clean, I tend to use the in-grade lights. That's kind of the distinction between the two. They will both take the same light source. So I'm able to light in this picture, the palm trees and the architecture. And then one of my big pet peeves is I do not want you putting uplights in the turf. Okay, if you put an in-grade light in the ground, I can simply run over it with a lawnmower and I'm not going to disturb the fixture. If I have an uplight in the grass, lawnmowers come along, weed whackers come along, they generally end up running over the fixtures, and then happy homeowners are calling you because their fixture's not working when the gardener came in and just totally destroyed it. So if you have the option and you're going to go and put lights in the turf, always use an in-grade light, okay? And then with those in-grade lights, it might be on a hardscape, it could be in a driveway, it could be marking or delineating a space along the way. And here's just a couple of the standard series, again, being that drop-in light bulb, different styles, but probably more common to what you guys are doing. We can have things such as paver lights. The paver lights, you would simply remove one of the 4x8 pavers and you can put a paver light in its place. Those can just be a warm white or a cool white. They can also introduce color if that's an option that you and or your happy homeowners are looking for. It's showing the FC. It's all the same fixture, but we have different covers on it for different situations. And so one has got a cowling, one is just a plain spotlight, another one has a louver, but the one on in the center there with the brass cap on it is actually, it's a ground wash, and it can be in a 90-degree configuration, a 180, a 270, or 360 degrees of light. And again, if I've got that super ultra modern home and I want to go and put those well lights in the ground, but I want to be able to wash or put a wash of light across the ground, I will quite often use that FC and then just determine what degree of beam spread that I would like. And then lastly, the two on the right, the KT, drive over rated, so you can put them in the driveway and use them to uplight things. And then the KG can also, if I've got a slope, I can do it on a slight angle, or I can do it on a flat surface. So once you've gone through and determined what you're going to light, and you've determined how bright you would like all of your fixtures to be, then you can start through and start thinking about those options along the way. Do I want the material to be in a brass finish? Do I want them to be a powder coat finish? What is the environment? Am I down by the beach? Am I up in the mountains? Am I in the city? I am in a rural place. And so some of those things will help you determine what you're going to do. And I know I've been throwing a bunch of fixtures at you, but what will happen is you will find out very, very quickly that you will go and have your favorites. You will go and say that, hey, every time I do this, my 3 favorite pathway lights are the JS and the HC, and one other one, depending on what you like to use. I'm doing a lot of modern, a lot of new estates, and they all like that modern series of pathway lights. I typically do things in the grass, and so I use well lights. And I typically like to do, my standard is grouping and dimming because that's my clientele. And so you will develop very, very quickly those favorites of what you want to do. And you might go and change slightly, determining, you know, oh, I've got a slope situation versus a flat, but don't be afraid to kind of change things out. And again, I'm going to show you later a couple of tricks that you can use. And always please feel free to reach out to the guys out in the field, because we get paid to make you look good. That's what we do. Underwater lights. So underwater lights, when I go onto a property, the thing that is one of my most favorite things to light are elements that are underwater. All right, shows a typical fountain here. I might have 1, I might have 2, I might have 3, I might have 4 lights in that water feature there. But remember, water features typically are a focal point. It's something that's, in this case, is right in the center of the activity to walk from the home to wherever they're going. It is both aesthetically pretty. You end up with the sound of the water, but come sunset, all of a sudden it's dark. So I sit there and I go and put a light in there. So I've got a couple of different fixtures for that, but I will go and tell you from a design standpoint, when I'm in there, I walk onto properties and people go and tell me, I go and say, would you like to be able to use the lighting through your Wi-Fi? Would you like to be able to dim it, group it, do all of those things? And generally speaking, the answer is yes, dependent upon your budget. But this is the one place that I always encourage you to do color. So color in water features just looks spectacular. if I go and see a swimming pool or a jacuzzi, every single one of them in the last year that I've gone to see, they've always got a colored light in there. So what I go and let them know is like, hey, we can go and match that color in the pool or the jacuzzi or the spa to that water feature that's in your backyard. And water features, they invoke that smile. They like it. They're beautiful. They're focal points. So if I can introduce color into there, and it might be the only colored light on the property, but that's a pretty cool deal. And the reaction I get is always, always, always positive. And here's just one of those little lights. It's called an LP, and it's just low profile, and it literally sits in the bottom of that water feature. You can go and get it with up to 100-foot cord in there. And again, remember that fixture can be a 10-watt equivalent, can be a 20-watt equivalent, and it's designed for those smaller water features like that fountain that we saw in the last picture. We can run the wire back through a conduit and out and then back to the transformer with a 25-foot cord all the way up to a 100-foot cord. But again, the nicest part with that, it can also be in color. A little bit bigger fixture. Again, I can run a 100-foot cord on it, but this can be a 10, 20, 35, 50-watt brightness equivalent. And you'll see on both of those fixtures, we only have them in brass. There was a few companies that we looked at when we first came out with these fixtures, and what they would do is they would powder coat them to go and match the pool tile and things like that, but with chlorines and acids and things that go in the water to go and keep them sparkly white, we would find out that the chlorines were just eating away at the materials in the water. So brass, we have found brass and stainless steel are still the best corrosion resistance that are out there, because you do not want to be called up 6 months, a year later with powder coat that's flaking off fixtures. And these guys here, they're adjustable, so you can have them straight up in the air. I can articulate them to a 45-degree angle, just so you can get rid of some of that glare that's in the water. Again, coolest thing is they're available in color. All right, so we've gone through the fixtures themselves. And remember at the very, very beginning, where we're talking about transformers or hanging transformers in there, we can go and have a job that has got very, very little budget on the property. So we can just go and do an on-off control transformer. If you are controlling your lights through a transformer, through an outlet that is smart, you can have, I would highly recommend just doing my EX or PX transformer. And all it is doing is it's converting high voltage to low voltage to go out into the world. Then we've got a slightly better one than that. It's the DX, and it works well. It's got an astronomical timer. It has got a couple of other features where you can create some programs. But I think the one that you guys will use mostly will be our Luxor system. And that's because we can use it through the Wi-Fi. It will give you the ability to both group, dim, and color if you choose. Pretty easy to install, but the people that I've been working with, at least in Southern California, that's kind of their go-to, unless there is a budget constraint. So most people are starting off with Luxor, and then they might go down from there. And then for the larger systems, if you end up with a larger property, you will go and see that I have the Luxor to the right, but I'm also able to go and add power packs to it. So each one of the two, the second and the third one to the left, they're basically power packs, or what we're calling satellite control. And as long as they're connected to the primary with a piece of Cat5 or Cat6, you link them together. Now I've just gone from having just the Luxor at 300 watts to adding another 300 watts with the satellite, and then putting another 300 watts on there. So that system is capable of 900 watts of load throughout the lighting system. So it makes it, makes it easy for those larger properties. So again, do not be afraid or go, oh my God, I've run out of wattage at 300 watts. I'm capable of looping in these power packs to go and help out that situation. The three of them are placed, all three of them together. Remember, if I've got a piece of Cat5 cable, I could have that second and third transformer. They could be 500 feet away from the primary one, as long as they are plugged into an electrical outlet. And as long as I can get that Cat5, Cat6 cable and link them from A to B, That's awesome. That cable, I'd like you to have it in a conduit if possible, but if it's not, if it's going to be direct burial, I want you to make sure that you're using direct burial conduit. Sorry, direct burial Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable. Okay. Design possibilities, blah, 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 total home integration, which we can talk a little bit, next generation capabilities. All right, just a little slide there. Nice, pretty backyard. But nighttime. So with the Luxor itself, what can it do for you? All right, zoning, dimming, color capabilities. Awesome. All those things. Just think about those dimmable switches that are on the interior space of the house. Now your lights can have dimmable switches on the outside, but the technology is at the fixture. And then how we go and relay that information to the fixtures is through the direct burial wire. We can have up to 40 custom themes. Themes could be regular evening, they could be late night, they could be security, they could be romance, they could be Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving. You can go, anything that you can think of could be your favorite football team, your favorite baseball team. So think about those custom themes. If you are not using it with some of your integrated systems, you can have it through an app base with calendar programming, so that on the 1st of December, it changes from regular lights to Christmas lights, as an example. Okay. LAN connection, if you're connecting it to Cat 5, optional remote antenna. If it's a Wi-Fi system, again, wireless app, 15-foot outputs, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's that one there. So why would I want to go and have dimmable switches outside my home? So the whole big thing for me is being the capability of turning my lights down and setting my control of the lights. So the picture to the left is fairly bright, and that might not be optimal. So the picture on the right is all of a sudden I've been able to turn down my landscape or kind of dial it in, the same as you would do on an interior space of a home. To the left, that might be an entertaining. So entertaining, I want to turn my lights up. From a regular evening, I might want to turn my lights down. If it's an intimate, romantic area, I maybe wanted to turn it down even more. From your design standpoint, if you look at those trees to the left, those could be trees that have been in for 3, 4, 5 years. Trees have these weird habits of growing. So those trees there in another 5 years could be twice as large. What's very nice, if I go and design my fixture to be at full maturity of the tree, and if I turn it down to, say, 37% as an example, every season I can turn them up and up and up. And depending if the trees are deciduous, I may want to turn them down. So I've got that control over the intensity. And color your world. These are all pretty vibrant, and we kind of get those vibrant colors that are out there, and different color combinations, depending on your teams, depending on the event, depending on what's happening in the world. You can go and come up with all of these colors, all very vibrant, and quite often homeowners are like, ugh, it's too insipid. It's got too much color, unless it's your favorite football team, or it's Halloween, or I want to be really striking. I can do that. Or I could just kind of bring that color down, and I can just match the natural hues in my landscape. So you'll go and see in that picture in the center left and on the center right, the windows don't really pop and the trees really don't pop. But if I come through on the right and put a slight warm hue to it, it brings out the vibrant colors to match the natural landscape, the leaves and what looks like a purple leaf plum and the red casings around the window. All of a sudden they come alive. In the center, if I put a cool white, I can actually go and make that palm tree looking piece there, I can make that pop. So instead of having those super vibrant colors, I can just start to make things just pop a little bit by just giving them a little bit of light, just to go and match those natural hues in your landscape. Wireless control, if you are working with a Luxor system, we've got programming, we've got themes, we've got groups, we've got color, all on your remote control. And your remote control be Android, can be iPhone, can be whatever it is. But probably for you, the important part is all of the Luxor systems will integrate seamlessly with Lutron, Control4, Savant, Homeworks, which is really nice. So you can have the Lutron app, turn on a scene that you've created within the Luxor, so you can go and have your interior and exterior space be very, very well balanced. So when you're in home, so it's your normal evening and your lights are preset to a certain intensity, you go walking into the backyard, you can have that same preset setting of its intensity. Then all of a sudden somebody shows up with a bottle of wine and 15 of your favorite friends, you change it to entertainment. You can have your interior and exterior space go and become intensified and bring the lighting up, maybe introduce color into it. And so it all works very, very seamlessly. And since you are selling your systems, you're going to have your shades, your sound, your color, all of those things. You've got one more thing that you can attach to your systems, and that's simply outdoor lighting. All right, so I got the job. Uh-oh, now what do I do? Okay, I need to design it. How many fixtures do I need? How much wattage will it consume? How many transformers will it take? Where am I going to go from here? Now, if I look at this picture of a beautiful, elegant house, I start thinking about transformer locations. For this one, just looking at it very, very quickly, I'm probably going to need a transformer on the left-hand side and one on the right-hand side. I know I'm going to have some pathway lights to go and get people from the driveway to the entrance. I've got a beautiful water feature in the center. I want to take advantage of that. So maybe I go and have some lights interior there. I've got really interesting architecture. So I want to put some lights on the house. I've got some trees. Of course, we want to light the trees with those uplights. I need to determine how bright the lights are going to be. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to get my wires. In that center space there with the water feature, do I have a sleeve that's going to go from maybe the turf to the interior? If I do not, I need to make sure that I can either get somebody in or have one of my crew do that. And remember, there's an expense that is incurred to do that. So these are the things that I need to be thinking about. So the design, check, it's the first thing you're going to do. How many fixtures will I need? You start counting them up based upon your design. And once I've designed it, then I will know how much wattage it will consume. Do I need one transformer? Do I need two? Do I need 3, 4, 5? Because they love their front yard and now they want to do the backyard as well. All right, so to go and help you with that, because it seems a little bit overwhelming, we can kind of slow it all down a little bit. We've gone over fixtures and transformers and everything that goes with it. So what we found, there was a need for My Design. And My Design is from FXL. It's a free service to you. And what you do is you go onto the FXL website, you go and search along the top bar for My Design. And with My Design, that will go and help you infinitely in your experience of interaction with the homeowner and how to go and figure that one out. So you can see I need 6 NP3s. The NP happens to be a spotlight. I need 4 RWs. Those happen to be some area or wash lights. And I need 10 SPAs. All right. So I figured out that, hey, this is what I need. And you are literally competing with people that are writing them down on a napkin or on a piece of paper, and there are their fixtures. But how about if you could do this? If I could come through and either on a tablet, if I could jump on there on my phone, I could start designing my landscape like a professional. As it says, you want to simplify it, and then you want to have a nice polished proposal when you walk up to your homeowner and say, here's what I have come up with, here's what I'm thinking about doing. All right, so we take a space like this. The first thing you need to do is you simply take a picture of it, right? Beautiful backyard area. I know that this is where I want to light it. I go and take a picture of it. And then with that, I am able to drag and drop fixtures into it. And then I'm actually able to do a really professional proposal because I can export it. I can do some other things like that. Okay, so dragging and dropping some fixtures in there. So from a menu, you will go and say that I want some wash lights. I need some hanging lights. I need some spotlights. I need some pathway lights. So I simply go and do some drag and drop onto the picture. And here now I've got my fixtures. I can sit there and come up with my favorites for my transformers, and I can browse through different products to go and say, hey, I want to use a Luxor. I want to go in there and I can go and figure out different lamps. I can figure out accessories. I can drag and drop them into there. And so I can sit there and figure out my transformer locations. I can then come through and it gives you some tools that you can add it to your list. So you can create a list of fixtures that you will take into your Snap, or you could go online, but you will actually create that list, and that list will also go and have the wattage. It will go and have the intensity. It will have the different finishes that you choose. You can use color. So it's kind of a, it makes it a lot easier for you. If that fixture is not available in copper, you certainly won't be able to have that. So you might need to choose another one. But this is kind of a nice little list of how you can create some of those things. And so here, what it is you can go and call it the spa pool at the country club. You're adding PS fixtures, the PS along the top. You'll go and say, hey, boom, I want to go and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. You click 8 of them on there. That will go to a list. Those ones happen to be a zoning and dimming. Their intensity happens to be 9 LED, is that 50 watt equivalent. Okay. And then you can go and figure that it's going to be in brass. And in this case, it happens to be in an antique tumbled finish. And then there's your products, which will come down to a product list of which you can sit there and show your homeowner. You can go to Snap, you can say, hey, this is my list of stuff. It will give you your number of products, your quantity, and the call outs for each one in a very clean, concise format. Remember that napkin sketch that we did in the very beginning? This one, to me, looks a whole bunch cleaner than that. And then again, we can show list pricing on it. We can show part numbers. We can print it. We can export it. We can do a whole bunch of things like that. We can hide the pricing, and you can put your custom lighting in there, your custom pricing in, if you so choose. And then there's that same property with that whole My List, with the fixtures in there. And then once it's in, this is what you created from that My Design. Sit there and purchase the fixtures, presented a bid to your homeowner, and this is what you created in the end. Very, very easy, very clean, very simple. And by the way, no charge. All right, so tricks of the trade. I always like to go and finish with a couple of things, and these are habits that I like to have, and these things that I like to do. These are probably the most common questions that I get, or the most common things that come up on a property. So I'm going to kind of go through them fairly quickly. Area lights. When I want to go and space my lights down a driveway or down a pathway lights, how many do I put on there? I want my spacing to be anywhere from 8 to 12 feet on center. If I can zigzag them, that's awesome. Wire runs, 10 lights, I go and do 100 feet with 12 gauge wire, no problem. For longer runs or more fixtures, I want to consult my voltage drop calculator just to go and see if I need to upsize my wire or maybe do a second run. But again, online, voltage drop calculator from FX, free, go and check that, consult that, okay? My small trees, my little trees that are out there, I go and have minimum of 1 light on there. My large trees, I like to put 2 lights on there, because otherwise with my large trees, half of it will be in shadow and half of it will be bright. When I start looking, you will see 1, 3, 6, and 9 LED. Yeah, what does that really mean to you? So here's just kind of a guideline, a starting point of those fixtures of how far that light will throw. 1 LED, 8 to 15. 3 LED, 18 to 25. 6 LED, 25 to 40. And 9 LED for those huge sycamores, for those giant trees that are 40 feet and above, okay? I personally like to make all of my connections at the fixtures. So when I'm running a wire from the transformer to the fixture, if I run short, if I get halfway to the fixture, I simply go out and get a new roll of wire, and I roll my wire all the way from the transformer out to the fixtures. And that's kind of what I like to do. That's just a good habit. Again, no lights in the turf unless they're in-grade fixtures. And then just from a good starting point, I like to do no more than 25 fixtures per transformer, because I want to go and verify my wattage consumption, all right? If I'm doing 25 or less, I'm like, I got this. If I'm doing 25 or more, I may be able to put more fixtures on there, but I start thinking about how much power I am using, okay? So I went through some stuff fairly quickly along the way. I just put a bunch of stuff at you, but hopefully that gives you a nice little pathway to when you go initially walk onto a property. you sit there and want to go and do a design, give you a few little tricks and a few little things that we can help you with along the way to go and say, hey, you know what, I want to make that from point A to Z a little bit easier for you of when you're going to do it. I will go and tell you that for at least in my part of the world, we are coming into lighting season. Lighting season because it's getting dark earlier. We're going to have daylight savings coming in. People are entertaining. They've got Halloween. They've got Thanksgiving. They've got Christmas. People are starting to have parties again. They're like, whoa, this is fantastic. So all of those people like to enjoy their outdoor spaces, and it might be from the convenience of inside the house, but they still want them lit. So these are all opportunities for you. And I will go and tell you from working with dealers out there, lighting and the outdoor space can be a very profitable entity for you in your jobs or in your daily travels. So I simply want you guys to ask, when you walk onto a property, go and say, just ask the question, what about your outdoor lighting? They may go and say, not interested. They might say, it's being taken care of already. Or they might go and say, tell me more. And then you kind of got them on the hook, and all you got to do is reel them in and get them on the boat. All right, so I just rambled along for, I don't know, 50 minutes here. So I do tend to talk a lot. So we have got some questions that have come up. Sarah, is there anything that that you'd like to expand upon or comment?
Yeah, there's a few questions I thought would be either really fun to kind of chat about, and then some other ones that I think we might have to defer to Gary on. So I left those as live. The first fun question is, David, can you tell us what the DE, JB, QT, etc. nomenclature stands for?
Okay, so originally back in the day, when FX first came along, we went and had 2-letter configurations, and we used to have a fixture called an SP. We used to call it a Saguaro Petite. We had a thing called a CC, and it was a cheek cravat. The names of them actually came up from the owner of the company sitting in a jacuzzi with a couple of bottles of wine, and there was really no rhyme nor reason for them. So we kept the 2-letter designation to them, but they really don't mean anything anymore. We've got a few families of fixtures where we're trying to go and have a little bit of commonality to them, but there really is no particular name. It's just kind of a differentiator between the two fixtures, and that's kind of how we do that. But having a DE or a JB, just know that they are both downlights, and just how I can differentiate between the two are just 2 different letters. And so, that's really what that is.
I will say though, as the recent product manager of the last few years on the fixture side, we have been trying to create a rhyme or reason to it. So an example is like the SD. The SD was one of the fixtures in the downlight category. It is a surface mounted downlight, hence S and D. We have another ledge light that we just came out with, LD, and that's because it looks like a truncated version of the word ledge. So there is a little bit of rhyme or reason getting applied. And historically, there's a few little families that are fun. So for example, the QT, QL, QZ, QB, anything with Q signifies that it's the smallest brother of the fixtures. So there'll be a few little nuggets here that can help or hurt in terms of identifying product, but I thought that'd be a fun question to ask. So thanks for the history, David.
You're very welcome.
Hey, Sarah, are those abbreviations in the software with a definition, or where do we see those in full?
Normally they'll have not in the SKU level, but in the full name on the website, etc. They'll have more description to it. So we may have like MO recessed wall light, or we'll have MPL modern path light. But in the SKU level, then it gets truncated down to just the 2 or 3 letter designators for that product. So we try to throw a few bones here and there for you guys to help figure those out. But we've added all of that detail into the Snap One web pages and everything.
Great, thank you.
Yep, but what's easy, when you go onto a website, as an example, you can come through families of products, pathway lights, area lights, and then you start digging into those particular ones based upon the intensity, the material, the color, and all of those things. But so you go and start off with products, you come down to downlights, and within that family, you'll see a bunch of abbreviated, JS, DE, and so on and so forth.
Mhm. So the next question we have is a little bit of design related. Don't want to spend too much time on it because there's a few others about control and integration. But the question was, can an in-grade light be used to light a large space? I have a client with turf putting green that does not want lights sticking up.
So the answer is yes, kind of. So if you can imagine, remember I spoke very early on about the light coming out like an ice cream cone. So if I have a subterranean, a well light, with the light coming up, it's going to go and shine into the sky. It will not shine onto the putting green because light does not bend. So that ice cream cone of light coming in from that subterranean fixture will literally have a series of ice cream cones of light coming out, emanating from the ground, which is probably not exactly what they want. But remember that FC ground wash light, what we actually do is we manipulate the light to come out of the fixture and then literally take a 90-degree turn. So then it will put a swath of light across the putting green. So not sure exactly of the question, but that's how I would go from having a well light with it nice and clean to go and having the light turn at a 90-degree angle and then put a swath of light across there. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I would also like to add the in terms of the putting green itself, expanding your search for where to install product could help as well. So if there's a retaining wall nearby, you could install a wall light that shoots light a little bit out and forward. You could look and see if there's any large trees kind of overhanging, or that you can set up a directional downlight and point it at the putting green. You could see if there's any sort of large swaths of wall that you can light the wall up and have ambient light shining onto the putting green. So there are a few ways to kind of get around just placing a bunch of tripping hazards in the middle of the putting green.
Awesome, thank you.
And then in terms of some integration, David, how
Yes.
does the Luxor system work with Control 4?
Okay, so what you will do is you'll install your Luxor controller. You'll go out and you'll have your low voltage or your low voltage wire go out to your fixtures. Those fixtures are smart, and what we do is we put 15 volts of power down the line, but we also overlay the signal down there to the fixtures, and the fixtures will be grouped in 1 through 250. And at the fixture, what happens is the Luxor will go and tell the fixture of group number 27 to turn on to an intensity of 34% and color if with a hue and saturation, if that's the designator that you've used for that fixture. How it works with the Wi-Fi is you will download a file to go and bridge the communication between the Luxor and the home automation system, Lutron, Crestron, Savant Control 4. You'll simply download a pack or a bridge between the two, and how it communicates is the Luxor will either through Wi-Fi to the rack or the router or whatever that thing is, either through the Wi-Fi in the home or through that LAN cable, which will go and connect from the Luxor directly to your home automation system. And then what happens from there, once you've downloaded that information, you can go through your groupings at your Lutron control or your Savant, whatever it is, come down and select the group number, and now you have got control over that fixture, which goes from your program on your Lutron system through the Wi-Fi, down through the Luxor control and out to the fixture. Hopefully that makes sense.
Thanks, David.
Okay.
And then there was another one about the Savant system. Is there RS-232 or IP control with Savant?
I have no idea, but
Me neither. That's why I try to pass it on to you.
So what we do is, so Sarah works on kind of the product side of it, helps me out and does a fantastic job. James Cervantes, who was on the call the last time we were on here, he's in charge of the Luxor and the kind of the transformer part of the world. So if you want to go and type in your email address, and then Sarah will very, very happily pass on, or Gary can get your information, and we are very happy to answer that for you. But if you want to go and just separately on a little sidebar, either to Gary or Sarah, and we will find that answer for you. All right, awesome. All right, next question, Sarah.
Next question. This one I was going to type out, but since you're available, can you use a transformer from the Can you use a transformer from the client's current system?
Okay, so the transformer from the client's current system is going to be what I affectionately call a dumb transformer. So yes, you could reuse that, but do remember that without the smart capability in the transformer, the lights will all go on. Every light will go on to 100%, or every light will turn off, because you do not have the control. It'll be basically one group, and that group is going to be that transformer. And so every light in the front yard or every light in the backyard will all turn on simultaneously, and they will all turn on to 100%, and that will be it. Now, I do understand you can control that outlet from a smart home system, but again, you lose the individual control of fixtures in both intensity and color if that's what you've chosen.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see what we have here. Can a single system have multiple Luxor controllers?
Yes. So we can have, so remember back to my landlocked situation. If I cannot get, so one way of doing it, if I need more than 300 watts of capacity, I can either go and have a Luxor and a couple of satellites, so each one being 300, or if I've got a front yard, backyard situation where I simply cannot get that Cat 5, Cat 6 from the Luxor to the satellite, then what I could do is I could just install another Luxor and maybe have another Wi-Fi antenna on it, so I can have multiple ones, kind of as many as you want, all speaking to the Wi-Fi from different parts of the property. So the simple answer is yes.
Awesome, thank you. This one is a little more specific to, kind of our business model here. It says, I see you sell FXL via irrigation supply shops. Are these wholesalers selling materials based on an MAP, MSRP pricing, or can a homeowner walk in and buy these for the same price as we can?
So basically, first of all, are they available in the green industry? The answer is yes. Is the pricing to the homeowner? I do know, and I do work with the irrigation supply houses, and what will happen is they have got different layers or different tiers of pricing, the same as what you will go and get, based upon volume and based upon who you are. I do know that if a homeowner walks into a greenhouse distributor, they will go and get a very low, they might get 5% off or 10% off, or they might get it for list price. If they're a contractor that does a lot of business with them, obviously their discount structure will be greater than that. So yes, a homeowner can walk in. No, they do not get any deep discounts, so they would not get it for the same price as you. If you do go and see that there is an irrigation house, because sometimes counter guys kind of push the easy button, and rather than doing the work, they're like, oh, I'll just, I'll give you a decent discount because for whatever reason. I always like to know that, at least in my area, so I can have the conversation, because it does hurt both the people that are on this call. It also hurts the landscape contractors or the installers, because they have exactly the same problem if a homeowner is walking in trying to go and purchase product at a deep discount.
That's great, thank you. It is 10:03. Gary, how are we doing on time here? Should we call it and we can, kind of follow up on the remaining questions?
No, I don't have a hard stop. Let's get through the questions, and it's only just a couple of minutes after. Let's keep the recording going. There's some great questions. I see the availability question, but let's try to get through this. We're good.
Cool. Okay, sounds good. Well, I had this one that I was starting to type out, David, but you talked too fast, so I didn't get through it.
I'm sorry.
But we have a question about, my screen just went black.
Uh-oh.
There we go. I have an existing home that has, 12 gauge wire ran by the landscaper to various locations around the yard for future lighting. What options are available for grouping RGBW and control with that wire? So
Awesome.
can you
So
clarify the relationship between wire and control?
nice. So that 12 gauge direct burial wire is all we need. We do not need special wire to go and operate our fixtures. As I said a little bit earlier on, what happens is from the control, from the Luxor control, we go and turn on a group. It pushes voltage down the line, but it also pushes a signal down there just through that existing 12 gauge low voltage wire. And so you would simply use that wire, and you would simply go and attach a Luxor transformer, and then you would attach a fixture on the other end that is capable of grouping and or dimming and or color. So you can use that same wire, and so we don't need single strand, we don't need special wiring. That low voltage direct burial 12 gauge wire is absolutely perfect for your yard.
Thank you. Okay, this is a good one for you too, David. Is there demo discounts for us to install in our showrooms or personal homes to showcase what the lighting system can do?
So what I do is I work closely with my guys in my territory. So I want you to, whoever's on the line, I'd like you to develop a relationship with your Hunter/FX guys out there in the field, and they have got budgets allocated. They can work with you and the Snap guys to go and make sure that you're taking care of either A, for showroom, or B, for your own personal kits that you might take out to job sites or things like that. So I can only speak for myself. What I go and do is I have a communication with the dealers that are out there. They start looking around. They say, I've got these huge opportunities, and let's go and start. And then kind of they develop habits. And yes, I absolutely work with them to go and help them with pricing, excuse me, and or demo equipment. So the short answer is yes, but it's on a per rep basis. And that's kind of how we do it. So reach out to your guys and develop that relationship a little bit more.
David, to clarify, is there different pricing structures? Is that what you mean by, it's kind of up to the area rep, or is it the determination that a discount can happen based on how many are in that area?
No, so it's on a per person basis. We have a budget, and we kind of go and so if Gary is a dealer out there and he's busy doing lighting in his area, Gary and I have conversations. We work together, and Gary comes to me. It's like, hey, in my showroom, it would really help me if I had this, and this. Then I would get with Gary, and then either from a deep discount, or I might go and say, here's a couple of samples for you to use. But every job, every person is a little bit different. So what I would say, if Gary is my installer, my contractor, my dealer, I would work directly with Gary to go and help him out with product along the way there.
Got it. And David, remember, I think I've seen a visual on, your map, your area map from Hunter and who was repping what.
Yes.
Do you have something like that I maybe can include Friday?
What I'm going to do is I will reach out to, or you can reach directly to Kyle Trotter. He generated that map with Andy, I think it was.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, so you, and if that's been modified, I know that he's got the most up-to-date one on that one there. So between you and I, will reach out to Kyle and get that one for your guys.
Guys, in short, that's just saying, hey, your MRI partner, here's your area rep. It's kind of a nationwide looking visual. That's all I'm saying. But we'll get with Kyle, David. Thank you.
Awesome.
Great. So the one question is, what does availability look like right now? So I know based on the manufacturing side of it, but I wanted to, kind of offer this question to you, David, as you kind of know a bit more about Snap One in particular.
All right. So I don't know if everybody's aware. There's this little issue going on in the port of LA and China and the rest of the world with product and parts. So we are at the moment, we are on a back order status with the Luxors themselves and satellites and Wi-Fi modules because we actually import a lot of those components from offshore. So through the Snap systems and through Volutones and other places, they have got some inventory of things. I don't know what their current inventory is, but what I would do is I would go either onto the e-commerce site and it will actually go and show you inventory levels of product out there. Sarah works with the fixtures, and so depending upon what fixture it is, some are available for shipping, you know, in the same week. Other ones that it might be 2, 3, 4 weeks out there. What I would go and say is at the moment, and I do apologize this on behalf of Sarah and myself, we are in an issue of having stuff that is either A, slow to build because of manufacturing in overseas ports, or that pure shipping with ships sitting in port and we're not physically having the product there. So I would go and say is please plan ahead and please, I apologize, there are going to be some delays on some certain things that have chips in them as an example, and some things that are fairly specialized. So again, reach out to your Snap guys, reach out to your reps. Sarah and I, as an example, speak on a weekly basis of what's available, what's becoming available, what's becoming less available, and I'm always happy to go and pass that on to my local guys and rinse and repeat with the people in your area. Do you have anything more to add to that, Sarah?
No, I think that's great. I will say Snap has done a really great job in, front loading a lot of product in the beginning. So there's a little bit of a delay. So when I say that, oh, my production is going to take a week, this is for product that people may be ordering to stock. So, at those locations in the field, there may be more product than I believe there is coming from our factories themselves, if that makes sense.
So what I would do for the dealers out there, I would reach out to your Snap world and go and say, hey, I've got this, this, and this. Yep, they're available. Yep, they're sitting in the warehouse. Yep, they're totally available. Or B, like, that's in that finish, in that flat black finish, we don't have them, but hey, we've got them in a bronze colored finish. So there might be a little bit of that going on where you have to go and just kind of be a little bit maneuverable because it's just it's the way of the world. The good part is we are coming into the winter months. And in parts of the US, it snows and becomes cold. And, in Southern California, or that smile belt, we still tend to be working a lot. But we're actually getting caught up. And hopefully after Christmas, all the ships and the containers, there will be some improvements there along the way. So, again, I know you're seeing it with your different components on the inside of the world, but we're all suffering from it right now.
Awesome, thank you. I did want to kind of circle back to a question about Savant. It was the question, is there RS-232 or IP control for Savant? And got a hold of James Cervantes, and he said that is a Savant question. Their tech support should be able to take care of that answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I have one other question. I'm not quite sure, Jeff, if you can elaborate on this. The question is, as stated, how much light will the end ground throw? And I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to.
So I'm wondering if in-ground was meant to be in-ground throw.
In-ground throw. Okay, so maybe like the FC ground wash.
So we remember we had the rack of 4 different styles on it, and then how far it will throw. On my very last slide, remember there is a 1, a 3, a 6, or a 9 LED. So when I'm going up in the air, those will go 10 feet, 20 feet, 35, 50, approximately, depending on beam spread and a few other little things along the way. If we're using that ground wash where the light comes up and then it throws sideways, I would kind of, because we're manipulating that and turning the light sideways, I think I would operate a kind of a 2/3 number on that to be safe. So remember that 3, if it goes 20 feet, I might go and operate kind of to that 15-foot range of throw on that before I run out of light. Use that as a kind of a starting point. And then obviously what happens is dark colors absorb light, light colors reflect light. So if I've got that wash light on a travertine that's in a white color, it will throw further than onto a putting green, which is typically a dark green, astroturf type material. So it's a little bit of material dependent, but I would start at, start there and see where you go.
Awesome. I'm currently typing a response to My Designs. A website will be made available as an app. And I wanted to talk about it live here because
Absolutely.
Not currently. We don't have any plans yet to make into an app. And the reason why is because we are working on some really powerful features that need the website platform. I can give you a little hint because we're getting a little bit closer to it, but what we're working on is, you saw my design with the little icons, right, for fixture placement. The next and logical question always is, what will the light look like? So that's what we're actually working on, is how to simulate a rendering of the light effect in a program that is super simple. It'll be on the website and not require some other software. So that's what we're working on. It'll be really powerful, and we're super excited about it. This really helps a lot with those of you who are more visual, who can use this visual aid to convey what your design would like to be for that homeowner and that client. So we're really stoked on that. So that is the first priority. The app may or may not come after that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Scott, it is going to be available to watch. We are recording this, and I'm going to ask my two guests to come back in 4 hours? We're going to do this again later on. We're going to do the PM tailgating twilight session. Okay, that's coming up at 2 p.m. West Coast, 5 p.m. East Coast. Same layout. So if you enjoyed this, if you want to join us back, or make sure one of your team members registers, and we do this again in a few hours.
All right. So I will say, for me, I appreciate, again, everybody jumping online and taking an hour out of your days, because, again, we know that everybody's just rock and roll busy, which is awesome. Again, the Southern California people, reach out to me, and we're going to come up, hopefully by Friday. We'll have that map just to go and reiterate who your Hunter FX people are in your area. All right. So that's me. Sarah, any closing thoughts?
No, this was great. This was a ton of really great questions and engagement. David, you did a killer job as always. So yeah, if you want to come back for another round and ask us more questions to stump us, you guys are welcome to join us later on this afternoon.
Yeah, great job, both of you guys. It's always been, as soon as we get into this conversation, we can go so deep. But David, I really appreciate how you encapsulated this. We're going to have another session a little bit later on today. The email will be on everybody's inbox, and that's going to get us a little bit more busy, Sarah and David. We're going to get responses back from that. So all I can say is that we introduce this path and we continue it on. We're here to help you guys. Thank you for your patience. Continue to be safe out there. Hit me every Wednesday on the weekly webinar series. I can't thank you guys enough. It is busy, David. Be safe out there. David, you and I are going to start getting out to the stores.
Yes.
So more to come. Everybody, thank you guys so much from all of us at Snap One. And this is Volutone and MRI and Custom Plus and AllNet, building new stores for you guys. Thank you for your engagement. Continue to hit me at the email that you got the invitation on, because I'll continue to get the emails or your questions to the appropriate parties. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you a little bit later. Try to get some work done in the next 4 hours. I bet you can't. But we'll be back at you. Thanks again, guys. Watch the recording on Friday. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great morning.
Thank you, everyone.